What if one country handed another country a list not of requests but of demands? Not 2 or 3 but 15. And instead of negotiation, the answer came back as a clear no. That's exactly what's happening right now between the United States and Iran. A proposal was placed on the table, one that could have reduced tensions, maybe even opened the door to peace. But instead of moving forward, things took a different turn. To understand why this matters, you need to see the bigger picture. The relationship between these two countries hasn't been normal for a long time. There have been years of tension, sanctions, disagreements over nuclear programs, and conflicts connected to the Middle East. Every few years, things cool down a little and then suddenly heat up again. This time, the United States came forward with a structured plan, a detailed one, a list of 15 conditions that Iran would need to accept if it wanted things to move in a better direction. On the surface, it might sound like diplomacy, but when you look closer, these were not small adjustments. These were major changes that would affect Iran's military, its economy, and its influence in the region. One of the biggest parts of the proposal focused on Iran's nuclear activity. The demand was clear: no high-level uranium enrichment. In simple words, Iran would only be allowed to operate at very low levels, far from anything that could be used for weapons. Along with that, there was also a demand to reduce or completely hand over its existing stockpile of enriched uranium. Another major point was about inspections. Not limited inspections, but full access. International inspectors would be allowed to check facilities anytime, anywhere. No delays, no restrictions. From one perspective, this builds trust. But from another, it can feel like losing control over your own country's systems. Then came the missile program. The proposal included stopping the development and testing of long-range missiles. It also called for reducing the overall ballistic missile capabilities. For any country, especially one in a sensitive region, that's not a small ask. It directly affects national defense. The list didn't stop there. There were demands about regional influence too. Iran was asked to reduce its involvement in nearby countries, to step back from certain areas, and to stop supporting armed groups across the Middle East. It was also told to avoid making threats toward key U.S. allies like Israel and Saudi Arabia. There were also human-related demands. For example, releasing foreign prisoners, ending cyber activities that could be seen as attacks, following international laws related to ships and oil routes. And beyond all of that, there was a long-term expectation, strict monitoring for years, and a commitment to peaceful behavior over time. When you hear all of this together, it starts to feel less like a negotiation and more like a complete reset of how a country operates. So how did Iran respond? They rejected it. Not quietly, not with hesitation, but clearly. Officials described the proposal as one-sided. They said it didn't respect their sovereignty. And from their point of view, it wasn't built on fairness. Instead of seeing it as a balanced deal, they saw it as pressure. Iran's position is also shaped by history. There have been agreements in the past that didn't last, promises that changed with time. Because of that, trust is already low. So when a new proposal comes in with strict conditions, it's not just about the present, it's also about the past. Another factor is power. Accepting all 15 points would significantly limit Iran's influence in the region. It would change how it operates politically and militarily. For any country, that's a serious decision. Not just internationally, but internally as well. Leaders also have to think about how their own people will see it. Accepting too much pressure can be seen as weakness. At the same time, Iran isn't saying it's completely against negotiation. Their message is different. They are saying that if there is going to be a deal, it should be fair. It should include things like removing sanctions and respecting their position. In simple terms, they want give and take, not just take. So now everything stands at an uncertain point. The proposal is on the table, but it hasn't been accepted. It hasn't completely disappeared either. Situations like this often move behind the scenes. Publicly, it looks like a rejection, but privately, discussions can still continue in different forms. From here, a few paths are possible. The first is that both sides adjust their positions. Maybe softer terms come in, maybe new conditions are added. The second possibility is that tensions increase, more pressure, more reactions, and a more difficult situation overall. And then there's a third path, less likely, but still possible, where both sides find some middle ground. Right now, no one can say for sure which direction it will go. That's what makes it important, because this isn't just about two countries. It connects to global stability, energy markets, regional peace, and international politics. Decisions made at this level don't stay in one place. They affect everything around them. And in the end, it comes down to one simple question. Was the proposal too strict, or was the rejection too quick? That's something people around the world are thinking about right now. What do you think?